Well, it's AAU season, and there are thousands of high school basketball players walking into AAU tournaments this weekend, all thinking the same thing. If I play well, a college coach will find me. That sounds about right. Feels good. But right now, in college athletic recruiting, that mindset is costing players real opportunities because what families think is happening in these gyms and what is actually happening are completely two different things. And this weekend is where it really starts to show up. You had some early events, smaller tournaments, a lot of Division 3 schools out recruiting, some Division 2s. Now we're getting into the stretch or the beginning actually when families start to believe this is real recruiting. This is where it all happens. That if you just show up and play, something's going to come from it. And after 31 years of coaching and recruiting at the college level, I can tell you this with complete honesty and 100% certainty. That's not how this works anymore because the recruiting system has changed. Roster construction has changed. The transfer portal has changed everything. And most families are still approaching these weekends the way recruiting worked 5 or 15 years ago. So what happens? Players walk into these events with no plan, no direction, and they leave the same way they came in, hoping someone saw them. And that's the gap. That's what I want to walk you through today. Because once you understand what these weekends actually are and how to use them the right way, everything about your approach to recruiting changes. Now, before we get into all this, I'm going to give you something that will help you take the first step the right way. So if you're a parent or student athlete trying to figure this process out, go and download my free college recruiting Jumpstart pack. It's free. It walks you through exactly what you should be doing right now so you're not guessing and you're not walking into these weekends without a plan. You can grab it in the description below or just go to keithmondillo.com. Because what we're about to talk about today, this is where most families get it wrong. Before we go any further, I want to give a quick thank you to Jeff Knapp from Columbia OCS. He reached out to me after seeing a few of my videos. He saw that I was wearing some Columbia gear and asked if I wanted to try a few things. He sent some over some pieces. I'm wearing my Sixers Columbia gear right now. Our Sixers are in the playoffs. And I'm not sponsored by it. I'm not an affiliate. I don't get paid to say this. But I'll tell you this is really good stuff, really comfortable, really made well. So, Jeff, I appreciate it. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. All right, now let's get into this because this is where families start to make mistakes. I'm going to clean something up right away. I post a lot of short clips from my longer videos, especially around AAU tournaments. And I saw some of the comments over the last couple weeks. Like, well, it's not a live period. Or Keith, it's not a live period. Division 1 coaches aren't there. I understand that. I know that. I've been doing this for 31 years. I know exactly when Division 1 coaches can be out and when they can't. Well, last weekend, AAU really started to ramp up, but it wasn't a live period. There were mostly Division 3 programs out recruiting. That's normal. It's not the issue. The issue is how families are interpreting these events because most people are looking at the weekends through one lens. Are Division 1 coaches here? And if the answer is no, they think the weekend doesn't matter. And that's where the mistakes start. Let me say this as clear as I can. Playing in an event and getting exposure are two completely different things. Just because you signed up for a tournament and just because your team's playing this weekend, that doesn't mean you're being recruited. It doesn't mean you're getting exposure. And that's where a lot of families get this wrong. They think showing up equals opportunity. It doesn't. Because most families walk into these weekends with no plan, no real plan. They haven't evaluated where they actually fit. They don't have a clear understanding of their level right now, not where they think they're going to be. And they don't have a school list, at least not a real one. They're not communicating with coaches before the event and not just the day before the event, leading up to the event. And they're not following up after the event. So what are they doing? They're just playing. And then they're hoping that the right coach is in the building, hoping that the right coach walks by their court, and hoping that someone notices them at the exact right moment. Court 20, 9 a.m. in the morning, first game of the weekend. That's what they're relying on. And you just can't do it anymore. You can't hope your way through recruiting. The families that understand this process, they're not relying on the event, they're using the event. And there's a difference. They've already identified schools that fit, they've already reached out, and they've already told coaches where they're playing, and they're following up after the weekend with their film. They're using the games as part of a bigger plan. Most families skip all of that. And then they walk out of the weekend saying, well, nothing happened. And the truth is, nothing was set up to happen. And that's the gap. That's where families are getting stuck right now. Now let's talk about Division 1, because I know a lot of families that are watching this right now, that's what they're chasing. And listen, there is nothing wrong with that. You should try and play at the highest level that you're capable of playing at. That's not the issue. But when I do all this content, it's not that I'm not trying to help Division 1 student athletes and their families, because everything I do relates to each level. I'm really trying to help the families that are good enough to play at Division 2 and 3. And right now, they might not have any offers or no direction, and maybe not a real plan. They're either just starting the process in ninth grade, or they're trying to reset their process as a sophomore or a junior. So you need to understand what Division 1 actually looks like right now. I talk to a lot of Division 1 coaches all the time. I see how they build their rosters. And it's not what most families think. Roster sizes might be 15, and that's if you opt in or out of the house settlement. And that's fine. But a lot of programs right now at the Division 1 level are not funding all 15 roster spots. They're choosing not to. Why? Because they're trying to save money. They're trying to save on scholarships, travel, meals, gear. It all adds up. And I know a local Division 1 program on the men's side that's going to save about $500,000 by not funding a few of those roster spots. Think about that. $500,000. It's a lot of money. So now let's look at how that roster will actually get built. So let's say that program is going to carry that 12. They might take a walk on or two, but let's just say it's 12. So what does that actually look like? You're probably going to have at least 4 or 5 players coming from the transfer portal. That's just the reality now. Then you might have 5 or 6 players that are returning. Now you're already at 10 or 11. So what's left? 1 spot, maybe 2 for a freshman. That's it. And most of the time, it's just 1. Years ago, you might have seen 4 or 5 freshmen on a roster, and that's not happening anymore. Not consistently. So when families say, we're gone D1, my simple question is this: where's the spot coming from? Because the opportunities for high school players at that level are limited. That's not my opinion. That's what's actually happening. And you might have someone say, no, that's not true. It is true, especially in the sport of basketball. So if that's the reality, then you better have a plan, because just showing up at the events and hoping something happens is not going to line up with how these rosters are actually being built right now in 2026. So let's take what we just talked about and connect it to what's actually happening across Division 1, because this is where it becomes real. We just said that Division 1 programs are bringing in 4 or 5 players from the portal every year. Guys, I'm not guessing on that. That's what's actually happening. So the question is this: where are those players coming from? They're not coming from high school. They're coming from other college programs. And a lot of them are coming from mid-majors. Let me give you an example. Let's look at the Missouri Valley Conference. This is crazy. In one recruiting cycle this year, 12 out of the 16 all-conference players entered the transfer portal. 12. Think about what that means. Those are the best players in that league, the most productive players. The players who have already proven that they can play at the Division One level, the best in that conference. And they left. Why? Because they were recruited again at a higher level. So now let's connect the dots. If you're a high major program, where are you going? You're going to that league. You're going to take experienced, proven players, players who are older, players who have already produced. That's who fills those 4 or 5 portal spots that we just talked about. Now go one level down. If you're a mid-major program, what are you doing? You're replacing those players. Where are you going? To the portal. You're going to a lower level Division 1 or you're going to Division 2. You are looking for players who are ready right now. So what happens to the high school player? They get pushed down the line. That's again not my opinion, that's reality. That's not how recruiting worked 10 or 15 years ago. Back then, a high school player was a major part of roster building. Now, they are a very small piece because the priority is experience. The priority is production. The priority is players who can step in immediately. So when someone says, I want to play at a Power Four Division One school, that's fine. But you have to understand who you're competing against. You're just not competing against other high school players anymore. You're competing against 22-year-old players, players with 2 to 3 years of college experience, players who have already proven that they can produce at the Division One level. That's who's filling these roster spots. So when you walk into an AAU tournament this weekend thinking, if I play well, a Division One coach is going to find me. You have to understand what that coach is actually looking for right now. And more importantly, you have to understand where you really fit into that system. Because once you see this clearly, it changes how you approach everything in recruiting. All right, so let's pump the brakes on this just a little bit and really define what these events actually are. Because not all exposure is the same. And not all the events are built for the same type of recruiting. There are really 4 types of events you're going to see this spring and this summer. And if you don't understand the difference, you're going to misread the entire weekend. All right, the first one are the big national events. These are the ones everyone talks about. Huge venues, convention centers, places like Spooky Nook in Ohio and Lancaster, 40, 50 courts going at the same time. And Division One coaches are present. This is what families picture when they think about recruiting. But here's what you need to understand. Coaches are not walking around randomly. They're just not sitting there watching games, hoping to find someone. They're going to specific courts to see specific players at specific times. So if you're playing in one of those events and you don't see coaches at your court, well, there's a couple reasons for that. One, they don't know who you are. Number two, they're watching someone else they have already identified. That's why communication matters before each event. Let's talk about the weekends where Division One schools are not allowed to be out recruiting. These are the ones a lot of families ignore, but they shouldn't because there's real recruiting happening there. Division 3 programs are there, and most of the time, Division 2 programs are there. There's a place in Philadelphia called the Six Man Center. It's a smaller venue, fewer courts, but coaches are there and they're there watching. And for a lot of players, this is where they actually get recruited. But families dismiss it. Why? Because they don't see the big time Division One schools there. And that's a mistake. Because for many players, this is their real market. Now, the third type, the local events. Teams with like an hour or two radius of the event, places like the old Competitive Edge in King of Prussia, they might have 6 courts there or 5 courts. There's good players, competitive games, but no college coaches, not one. And families think that means the weekend really doesn't matter. That's not true. This is where you create film. This is where you perform. This is where you build something you can actually use after the weekend. And they're really good players at these events. There are a lot of reasons why these athletes, why they're not competing at these national circuit events. But if you can play, you can still use this. Only if you treat it the right way. And the fourth type of exposure events are June high school live events. Now, this is a different environment completely. You're with your high school team, your role might be different. And there are a lot of coaches there, a lot of college coaches. It's heavily attended. And evaluations happen there, but just a little bit different. It's a different structure, a different context, and there's a different purpose of these events. And you have to understand that this is not the same as AAU, even though both events really matter. So those are the four type of exposure and recruiting events you see in the spring and summer. So let's bring this back to what actually matters in the recruiting process. No matter what event you're playing in, if there are no college coaches there, you can still get value from your film. If there are coaches there, but they don't come to your court, it just may be because they don't know who you are. That's on the front end. That's your communication. That's exposure before the event. Then after the event, that's your follow up. That's sending your film. That's continuing the process. But understand this, there are no highlight films and no emails and no system is going to get you recruited if you can't play. You have to be able to play. And that's the foundation. All of this only works if the player can actually perform at their level. And that's a different conversation. But you have to understand it because once you do, you stop looking at these weekends as random opportunities and you start using them the right way. So when you step back and look at all four of those events, the big national ones, the Division 2 and 3 weekends, the local tournaments, the high school live periods, the event is not the difference. The player and the plan, that's the difference. Because what happens most of the time is this. Families show up and they just play. That's it. They just show up and play. There's no communication before. They've never really identified a realistic school list. No understanding of where they actually fit. No follow-up plan after. They play in a handful of games over the weekend and they walk out of the facility hoping something happened, hoping a coach saw them, hoping someone wrote their number down, and hoping something comes from it. And then nothing does. And then they say, recruiting's broken. No, nothing was set up to happen. That's the truth. Because the families that are doing this the right way, they're not relying on the weekends. They've already done the work before they walked in. They already know what schools they're targeting. They've already reached out to those schools and they've told them exactly where they're playing. Court, time, jersey number. Then they go and play. Then after the weekend, they follow up. They send their film. They continue with conversations. They use that event. Most of families don't do that. They treat the event like it's the opportunity. It's not. It's just part of the process. And this is the biggest mistake I see over and over again. Families are going to basketball tournaments and calling it recruiting. And those are two completely different things. Because if you just show up and play, you're leaving everything up to chance. And in today's recruiting environment, with the portal, with roster limits, with fewer freshman spots, you cannot rely on chance anymore. You have to be intentional. You have to have a plan. Or you're just going to keep walking out of these weekends with the same results. Nothing. So as you're heading into these weekends, just remember this. The question is not whether coaches are in the gym. The question is whether your family knows how to use the weekends. So if you're just getting started or feel like you need to reset your recruiting plan, go and download my free college recruiting Jumpstart pack. It's free. It'll give you a clear starting point and show you exactly what to do next. And if you're serious about getting this right, please take a look at the college recruiting on-ramp system. That's a full orientation for families in the college athletic recruiting process. It will get you on the right path from the very beginning instead of guessing your way through it. You can find both in the link in the description below or go to keithmondillo.com. And if you found this helpful, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I want to help as many families as I can understand how this process actually works. And just remember this, I am not a recruiting service. I'm an educational organization that helps families just like yours navigate the college athletic recruiting process. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.